From the Pushpak Vimana of ancient India to Helios' fiery chariot and the mystical Chunkanjengnis. One of the most fascinating debates around Indian knowledge systems is the claim that ancient India already had advanced technology. So what's this? This raises an important question. Is Gen AI biased against Indian culture when it
Have you
calls
ever thought
Pushman?
about ancient civilizations? Like, did they have tech that was way, way beyond what we give them credit for? It's a really cool idea, right? But it also brings up this really tricky question. When we look at an ancient story and call it a myth, are we just being objective? Or is there some kind of hidden bias going on? All right, let's really get into this.
So, where do we even begin? Well, our whole investigation really kicks off with one specific claim. It comes from one of the oldest epics in the world, and honestly, it's become a real flashpoint in this whole debate between ancient knowledge and, modern science. So here it is, the Pushpak Vimana. This comes from the incredible Indian epic, the Ramayana, and the way it's described, it's basically a flying chariot or even a flying palace that could go anywhere instantly, just at the speed of thought. For a lot of people, this isn't just a story. They see it as solid proof that, advanced aircraft were a thing way back in antiquity.
Okay, but here's the twist, right? Modern scholarship, the academic world, they look at the Vimana and classify it as mythology. And that has sparked a really powerful counterargument. The question becomes, is calling it a myth actually an act of cultural bias? Is it specifically aimed at dismissing Indian knowledge? That is the big question we are going to unpack today.
So to get to the bottom of this, we've got to zoom out a bit. We need to broaden our perspective. Is this whole idea of a flying machine totally unique to this one story? Or is it maybe part of a much bigger global pattern? You know what? Let's take a quick trip around the ancient world and see what we find.
First stop on our tour, of course, is the very thing that started this whole conversation, India's Pushpak Vimana. All right, now let's hop over to ancient Greece. What do we find there? Well, we find Helios, the sun god. And what does he do? He rides a golden chariot pulled by freaking winged horses across the sky every single day. The idea, it's shockingly similar, isn't it? And it totally doesn't stop there. Greek mythology is just jam-packed with stories of flight. You've got Pegasus, the famous winged horse, right? You have the god Hermes with his magical flying sandals. And then there's that classic tragic story of Daedalus and Icarus, who literally made their own wings out of feathers and wax. Okay, now let's jump way up north to the colder world of Norse mythology. They had something called Skidbladnir. Get this. It was a magical ship that belonged to the god Freyr. Not only could it sail on water, it could fly through the air. And this is the crazy part. It could be folded up so small it fit inside your pocket. How cool is that? And if we head over to China, what do we see? The stories there are full of Taoist immortals and wise sages who could travel through the heavens on the backs of these amazing celestial dragons and cranes. So a pattern is definitely starting to emerge here, right? It's becoming pretty obvious. Okay, so we've pretty clearly established that this dream of flying through the air, it's universal. You find these kinds of myths all over the world. So now, with all that new context, we can finally go back to our original question and really dig into it. So, here's what it all boils down to. On one hand, you have the claim, calling the Pushpak Vimana a myth singles out Indian culture and is therefore biased. But on the other hand, what's the standard actually being used? Well, it's simply to treat all of these ancient stories exactly the same, no matter where they come from. And look, this slide just lays it all out perfectly. Just follow that last column all the way down. Whether we're talking about India's Vimana, Greece's sun chariot, that Norse folding ship, or China's dragons, what's the modern scientific view? It's the same every single time. Myth. Nobody's getting special treatment here. It's one consistent standard applied to everyone. And, it's really important that we're all on the same page about what myth even means in this context. It's not a put down. It doesn't mean silly or untrue. It's about these incredibly powerful, symbolic stories that come from our shared human imagination. They tell us about deep cultural values. They're not supposed to be literal engineering blueprints.
All right, so let's tie this all together. Calling the Pushpak Vimana a myth, it isn't bias. Why? Because every other culture's story gets the exact same treatment. Helios's chariot is a myth. Skidbladnir is a myth. No single culture's story gets this special upgrade to technology.
What we're really seeing is a beautiful shared human imagination, and it's all being viewed through one single consistent lens. And this brings us to something way deeper, and honestly, a lot more inspiring. Instead of getting bogged down in a debate about bias, we can start to see this as a celebration of a dream that connects all of us. When you think about it like that, classifying the Pushpak Vimana alongside all these other great myths, that's not a demotion of Indian culture. It's actually a promotion. It's placing this incredible story into a global tapestry of human creativity. It shows how people everywhere, all over the planet, were having the exact same incredible dream. There's a quote from the source material that just hits the nail on the head. It says that these myths of flight remind us that across every culture, humans looked up at the sky and imagined freedom, divinity, and transcendence. I mean, long before the first airplane ever took off, all of us, in our own unique ways, were looking up and dreaming of what it would be like to break free, to touch the divine, to go beyond our earthly limits. And that really leaves us with one last thing to think about. If this incredible dream of flight is woven into so many of our ancient myths, what other universal dreams are out there? Dreams of immortality, or justice, or exploring the great unknown. What else is still waiting for us, hidden in plain sight inside our oldest and most powerful stories?